Hello everyone. Right, I'm nearly finished. My journals are pretty much put together and I've made a pile more ATCs which I'll show you at the end. I've thoroughly enjoyed this process, and for those of you that haven't seen part one, I shared how to recycle these art journal pages, which were just old discarded journal pages that I never got round to finishing. And because I've got a theme going on in my Facebook group at the moment, which is recycle, upcycle and reuse, I just thought this was a perfect project for us to do. I've already added signatures to these 3 books, and if you haven't seen the previous video, I'll leave the link to part 1 in the description box below, where you can see sort of how I put these together and what this is all about. But what I want to show you now is how to really quickly add the signature to these journals. You've probably seen this a million times before, but anyway, I'm going to show you how I do it and just finish things off for you. So just to recap, this was the page that I started off with, and that was already completed, but the inside was just really grotty. It had got paint from the front cover here, and so I have just mimicked the colours that are going on the outside, and I've added it to the inside just so that you know, tonally it matches, and I'm turning this into a journal. Now I've cut my pieces of mixed media paper. You saw me do that in video part 1, and I just want to add these to the finished journal. So all I'm doing now is just making sure that the pages are straight, because you know, if you sew them in wonky, then there's nothing you can do about it. And then I'm just going to make sure that they're tucked evenly into the cover, and really sort of press firmly with your left hand and your right hand to make sure that that really is in the crease. And then I've got 2 bulldog clips, so I'm going to sort of keep that sort of firmly tucked into the center, and I'm just going to add a couple of bulldog clips to each side of this journal. And then I've got my phone book here, and I've made a template which is the same length as the pages inside the journal, and I've folded it in half, and I've measured. I've put a mark in the center, and you can see that I've already made a hole from where I've been sewing the other 3 journals, and then I've got 2 further holes that are 1 inch in from either end. And all I am going to do is put my journal in the crease of this phone book here. Then I am going to tuck that that guide right in the center, so that it's touching right end, it's in the right place. And then I've got my pokey tool here, and all I'm going to do is press firmly down. I'm starting in the center first, then I'm going to either end. It doesn't matter which end you do first. There we go. Then I can discard that now, and you'll see that my holes go right the way through. Now, cotton wise, to sew my signature in, where have I put it? Here we go. I've got some cotton hemp, and I've just chosen a complementary colour. I'm just using this blue here. I've got this in 3 different colours. I've got a pink, a purple and a blue, and I've chosen the blue for this particular journal. I'll show you the others at the end, and I've used a different colour for each of them. And I'm starting in the centre of the inside, and I'm just going to put my needle. I've already threaded my cotton on. In fact, it's waxed hemp that I'm using, and it's a bit fiddly. You're going to need to sort of twizzle it, and you want a tail, so I'm pulling that through. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to come in from the other side, and I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to pull that into the center, and again, you know, you're going to need to wiggle it. You can use some pliers to pull it through if you need to. Oh, come on, you. Of course, now that I'm doing this on camera, this one's going to be tricky. Let me just grab a pair of pliers. Bear with me. Let's there we go. It's through. And hold on to the centerpiece, because you don't want to lose that. Then you're going to go across to the opposite end. Oh, and you're going to thread your needle through again, like so. Pull it through at the back. I might as well use my pliers, seeing as I've got them here, and pull that pull that tight, and then you're going to go back through the center, and this is where you need to be careful. You need to go through the center, but you need to end up on the opposite side to where you've got this little tie here. So I need my thread to come out on the other side of this centerpiece here. So I'm just going to move that over. This is a bit fiddly showing you on camera. Let's grab my pliers again just to, come on, you guide that through, and then you're going to pull gently, one to the left, one to the right, and that sort of stops you from tearing your pages. And then you're going to make sure that it's taut, which mine is, and just tie it in a knot. And just check that those are all straight. Yes, they are. I thought they'd gone all wonky then for a second, but they haven't. It's just where the clips were. So tie it in a knot once, and then tie it in a knot again, and then just cut the ends off. So I'm going to trim mine about there. And you can use baker's twine, you can use proper embroidery floss if you want to, proper book binding floss. It really doesn't matter, it's entirely up to you. And there we have, you can see sort of all, when it's closed, all nice and neat, all the pages are all nice and even. And that's just a really lovely journal for somebody to either, you know, write in or paint in, do whatever they, however they decide to use it. And you've got 16 sides for somebody to play with there. I just think these just make beautiful, beautiful gifts. Now, before I show you the finished journals and the ATCs, I just want to show you this gorgeous drop paper that I've been working on. This is a large A3 size piece of mixed media paper, and you've seen me work on this for the past few weeks on and off. And it's nearly finished. I'm going to put this to one side now because you know, I don't want to spoil it. I've used all of my leftover paint during the last few projects. So it started off, I think, with the Bombay inks. I think that was the first project I did, and then, you know, whilst I've been doing these journal covers, all of the leftover paint, and you know, when I've been cleaning my stencils, I've just added more and more and more to this background, and that's what I've ended up with. I just think it's beautiful, and because it's on mixed media paper, you know, it's a nice sturdy weight, and I will be able to cut this up and use it for ATC. So you may well see this in a future, you know, repurposing, recycling project. But I just wanted to show you that, you know, do not waste any of your leftover paint. Plonk it down on a piece of, you know, scratch paper. Wallpaper lining paper is absolutely perfect for using as drop paper. So there we go. Anyway, I'll be back in a second to show you my finished journals. Let me just show you the other finished journals that I've created. This, of course, is the one that I did yesterday, and let me just show you this one again. So that was the cover that I started out with, and of course I've got the matching blue twine. I just love that. And then this is the cover that you saw me do yesterday. I'll show you the ATCs at the end. So that was the first one I did, and that was the one that I did in part 1 on the video yesterday. Whoops daisy, I've just nearly knocked them all flying. Then I had this one here, which is this turquoise one. Let me just check that I am in frame. So again, this is the cover that I started off with. So again, sort of a journal page, a double page spread that I had started and discarded, and I've just used the same colours of distress paint again, just to, you know, just create an inside cover, just to tie in with what's going on with the outside. So just using the same colours, the same stencils, the same coloured bottle lids, etc., just so that, you know, it all looks cohesive. And again, I'll show you the ATCs that I've created. This is another pink one, very, very similar to the one that you saw me do yesterday. It's just that the flower is slightly different on this one here. So that's what the cover looks like. And again, I've used the same colours of distress paint just to do the inside cover, and I just love that. I just think it, you know, just looks so gorgeous. And I also think that, you know, inking around the edges, I know you hear me hop on about this all the time, but it just frames your piece. It just makes such a difference. So that's that one there. And then finally, this one is slightly different. I think I might have done this one at a different time. Again, I've used distress paints. I've used the same stencil that you saw me use. It's an unbranded stencil, so I can't give you a link or a brand, I'm sorry. I think it's just one that I picked up from a craft fair. But I think what I've done is I've used a wet baby wipe just to smush the paint on here. And the difference with this one as well is, whereas I have used stencils to do all the background detail on all of these, I've used primarily the Dylusion stencils. With this one here, I've used Dylusion stamps, and I've used jumbled numbers and this dot stamp here, and they're Dylusion's background stamps. I'm sure if you Google them on Amazon, you'll be able to find them. And I've used picked raspberry, I think faded jeans, you know, all kinds of colours on here, some white, and I've tried to do the same thing again with the inside cover. So that's how that one looks. So I think all of those just turned out absolutely beautifully. I just loved those. And let me show you the ATCs that I ended up with. Now, the ATCs were all created with paint that was left on my palette or on my baby wipe, and I'll explain that in a minute. So I didn't put any fresh paint out. You know, these were not created separately. These were created as I was going along with those projects. So these are the three that you saw me create in video part one. I've just added some chit chat words, so cherish, dream and soulful, just to finish those off. And although these are on quite heavy watercolour paper, what I will end up doing is mounting these onto a piece of cardstock as well, just to add, you know, a bit more weight. But I'll do that at a later date. So I shall add some white cardstock, and I shall probably just paint it with Dylusion's black paint. I find that's the easiest way to do it. And then I've ended up with all of these other ATCs as well. So I ended up with these three from, let me find it, bear with me a second, from this journal here. So that was the Moppet paint left over from this one here. So you can see that those tie in here. And then I've used the same colour paint, or very, very similar to the flower on the outside as well. And to these, I've added the words share, laugh and smile. So I love those. I think those are really cute. And then I've gone with a bit of a bee theme, and I just absolutely love these. Let me just lay these out for you. So I've got 5 more ATCs with a bee theme, and these were created from, let me just grab them from these two journals, the leftover paint from these two journals. I think these were created from the paint left over from where I added the circles at the end. So that's where that colour comes from, and it was quite thin because I had very little left, so I just sprayed my paint with water and, you know, just dabbed the paint in. So that's how the background was created. And I used my bee stamp. Now, I can't remember the brand of this bee stamp here, but it's this one. You might be able to find it on Amazon if you put in clear bee stamps. But, you know, there's several different brands. They're available absolutely everywhere. So that's those two. And then these were from the paint left over from this journal here. Now, as I said, I used a damp baby wipe to add the paint here, and I had absolutely nothing left on my palette. So all I did was dab this damp baby wipe. It's dried now, but it was damp at the time, and I just dabbed it all over the watercolour paper, and that's how I got the paint on the background. So you know, be really creative about the paint that you've got left. It's absolutely amazing how much paint, how far your paint will go. So that's those. And then the bees I stamped on with Versamark ink, embossing ink, and then I just put black embossing powder over the top, so that's why those are so glossy. And then I wanted a bee themed quote added to all of them. So be kind, be happy, be grateful, be adventurous and be thoughtful. And I printed these quotes out on my printer, just on regular copier paper, and then to thicken them and harden them up a bit, I just added them to some regular cardstock, just cardstock scraps, and then cut them out and added them to my ATCs. And so that's it. So I've ended up with 11 ATCs and 4 gorgeous journals just from you know, stuff that I had lying around. So, you know, I am just absolutely loving this recycle, repurpose and reuse prompt for art journal, for Nina Ribena's art journal prompts and more. But, you know, decided to throw in an extra one for you. I hope you enjoyed that 2-part video. And, you know, I would really appreciate a thumbs up if you did, because as I always say, it just lets YouTube know that you like what I'm doing. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Feel free to share this video on Facebook or in any, you know, art groups that you're a member of. And take care, everyone. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.